American Airlines Flight 217 was a scheduled flight from Miami, Florida to San Juan, Puerto Rico. The aircraft, a Douglas DC-6, was operating as a standard commercial passenger flight when, on November 8, 1965, it tragically crashed into mountainous terrain near the town of Abianabdudo, Puerto Rico, killing all 79 people on board. Takeoff and flight. American Airlines Flight 217 departed Miami International Airport in the late afternoon with 69 passengers and 10 crew members. The Douglas DC-6 was a reliable aircraft, and everything seemed routine as the plane headed out over the Atlantic. The crew, led by an experienced captain, began its journey with smooth skies ahead, communicating regularly with air traffic control. Approach to San Juan. As the flight neared its destination, conditions started to deteriorate. The pilots were navigating through scattered thunderstorms and cloud cover. Despite the challenging weather, the crew believed they were on course for a safe landing at San Juan's Isla Verde International Airport. Unbeknownst to them, the plane was slightly off course, flying too low as it approached mountainous terrain. The fatal impact. Suddenly, without warning, the plane crashed into the slopes of the Cordillera Central mountain range at an altitude of about 2,400 feet. The crash happened so quickly that the pilots had no time to react. The impact was devastating, breaking the plane into pieces and causing an explosion. All 79 people on board perished in the accident. Rescue and recovery efforts. In the hours following the crash, rescue teams were dispatched to the remote crash site. The terrain made it difficult for search and recovery efforts, and the stormy weather compounded the challenges. Rescue workers battled against the elements to recover bodies and investigate the cause of the crash. The wreckage was scattered over a wide area, a testament to the severity of the impact. Investigation and findings. The subsequent investigation by the Civil Aeronautics Board concluded that the primary cause of the crash was pilot error, as the crew had deviated from their intended flight path. The inclement weather and poor visibility likely contributed to the disorientation. It was a tragic accident that led to changes in flight safety protocols to prevent similar incidents in the future. Legacy and remembrance. In the years following the crash, memorials were erected to honor the victims of American Airlines Flight 217. The crash serves as a somber reminder of the dangers of flying in unpredictable weather and the importance of rigorous flight safety standards. American Airlines Flight 217 was a tragic aviation disaster that took place on November 8, 1965. The flight was a routine service from Miami, Florida to San Juan, Puerto Rico, aboard a Douglas DC-6 aircraft. What began as a regular journey soon turned into a devastating catastrophe, as the flight encountered navigational errors and adverse weather, resulting in a fatal crash into the mountains of Puerto Rico. All 79 people on board lost their lives, and the event marked one of the darkest days in Puerto Rican aviation history. Departure from Miami. The day began like any other for Flight 217. The aircraft, a Douglas DC-6, was a trusted workhorse of the skies, known for its reliability. On board were 69 passengers and 10 crew members, including the seasoned flight crew led by Captain George A. Whitfield, an experienced pilot with thousands of flight hours. The aircraft departed from Miami International Airport in the late afternoon, and the first part of the flight was uneventful. Passengers settled into their seats, some reading, some sleeping, and others looking out the windows at the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. The cabin crew went about their duties, serving drinks and ensuring the comfort of everyone on board. Approach to San Juan. As Flight 217 neared Puerto Rico, weather conditions began to deteriorate. The crew received reports of scattered thunderstorms along the approach to San Juan's Isla Verde International Airport. The dense clouds made visibility poor, and turbulence rocked the plane intermittently. Despite these challenges, the flight remained on course, or so the crew thought. However, the aircraft's navigation was off by several miles, likely due to poor weather and potential instrument malfunction. The plane was flying lower than it should have been as it entered the mountainous region near Abianabdudo, Puerto Rico. This area is known for its rugged terrain, with peaks rising to more than 2,000 feet above sea level. the crash. Without warning, Flight 217 struck the mountainside of Cordillera Central, the central mountain range of Puerto Rico. The aircraft collided with the rugged terrain at an altitude of approximately 2,400 feet, disintegrating upon impact. The force of the crash was catastrophic, causing an explosion that sent debris scattering across the dense forest. In those final moments, neither the passengers nor the crew likely had time to react. The crash was so sudden and severe that survival was impossible. The wreckage was strewn over a wide area, with some parts of the plane lodged deep into the mountainside. The rescue and recovery. News of the crash spread quickly, and rescue teams were dispatched to the site near Abanido. However, the mountainous terrain and stormy weather made the recovery efforts incredibly difficult. Rescue workers struggled to reach the crash site, which was located in a remote and rugged area. The wreckage was still smoldering when they arrived, and it became clear that there were no survivors. The scene was one of devastation. The once proud Douglas DC-6 was reduced to twisted metal, with scattered belongings of the passengers and crew mingling with the debris. Rescue teams worked tirelessly to recover the bodies, but the operation was slow and treacherous. Investigation and findings. The investigation into the crash of Flight 217 was conducted by the Civil Aeronautics Board (CAB). The inquiry revealed that the primary cause of the crash was pilot error. The crew had failed to maintain the correct flight altitude and had deviated from the assigned flight path, leading them directly into the mountains. Contributing to the disaster were the adverse weather conditions, which made visibility poor and disoriented the crew. Although the plane's instruments were functioning, the difficult weather and mountainous terrain likely contributed to the misjudgment of altitude and distance. The investigation also examined the possibility of mechanical issues, but no significant malfunctions were found. As a result of the crash, safety recommendations were made to improve navigation systems and pilot training, particularly when flying in adverse weather conditions and over mountainous terrain. Legacy of Flight 217. The crash of American Airlines Flight 217 remains a significant event in the history of aviation in Puerto Rico. In the years following the accident, it prompted changes in flight safety protocols, particularly with regard to instrument flying and navigational procedures. The victims of the crash were honored in various memorials, and the tragedy serves as a reminder of the risks and challenges of aviation. For the families of the passengers and crew, the crash was a heartbreaking loss. Today, the story of Flight 217 continues to be told, not only as a cautionary tale in aviation safety, but also as a tribute to those who lost their lives.